Oh, there we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Oh, no, I'm not unmuted in there. There we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Kobold Chats. My name is Kendrick or Kendall, whichever you prefer, and it is a wonderful, wonderful Friday. And I get to be here with all of you talking Kobold Press stuff, which is like my favorite stuff to ever talk about, because, hey, I'm here and I'm with you. Tell you my Midgard secrets. That's exactly what I'm here to do. You all have been going on and on and on every single week. Everybody always just wants something new from Midgard, and guess what? We finally got something for you. And trust me, it's not the only thing we've got today. We've got a lot of things going on. For Midgard, but hey, that's later down the line. But today we're talking about that, and we're also talking about some other stuff that we're doing. So I hope you all are doing all right, and we are going to get into it. Sorry if I'm going to be a little slow starting this bad boy off, because I'm currently in, not an argument, a heated discussion. And I'm interested in all you all's opinions as well. I'm over on Blue Sky, and we're talking about, hey, everyone's always giving necromancy a bad rap. But I don't see anyone pointing any fingers at you evocation wizards out there. All right? You all basically have you just have weapons of mass destruction at your very fingertips. It's like everyone has an invisible gun, and you just have to hope that no one pulls the trigger. Or if they shoot at you, they miss. And what's wrong with the little dead bodies coming up every now and then, huh? They're not doing anything. They're just hanging out. I needed help building a back porch tomorrow. Come on. Let me get a little skelly guy. Let me get a little zombie to help me move some wood. Are you helping me move the wood? I don't think so. Nothing wrong with necromancy. Everybody's going on and on about necromancy being evil. I trust my fellow gravedigger more than I trust a guy with a fireball in his pocket. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's talk about Midgard. Okay, so, we're not just talking about Midgard. We have a couple of stuff, because, hey, next week is American Thanksgiving, and with American Thanksgiving, every year is everybody's favorite thing, and that's the Black Friday sales that come after it. So, starting next Monday, because we're not just going to wait until Black Friday, no, we're giving you a whole week and some change even, I think, from next Monday, November 25th, all the way into Sunday, December 1st, we've got some Black Friday sales for you. And we've got, let's see. Okay, so there's going to be 30% off of Creature Codex, the campaign builders, and the map folios for cities and towns and castles and crowns. 30% off of map tiles and a Kobold Guide bundle. That's all. Kim, can you tell me how many Kobold Guides there are? Because it's a lot. I think it's, hold on, wait. I think they're all over there. Wait, give me a second. I'm looking on my bookshelf trying to count. Oh, wait, they're blocked by a thing, so I can't see. It's all -1, so 10. That is 10 of the Kobold Guides. So 10, 11, it's all -1. There are 11 Kobold Guides. 10 of them are on sale, I think is what Kim is telling me right now, for 30% off. Thank you. And the Kobold Guides, come on. Who doesn't like essays? Unless you're like a child. Essays are good. Essays are good. I'm a big fan of essays. And also, if you are a person who is interested in honing your craft, or maybe starting to delve into a new craft, right? If you're a game master out there and you're like, okay, I'm pretty good at game mastering, but I want to come up with new monsters or find a better way to do dungeons, or like, how do I world build a little better? How do I make magic mean something in our world? There are individual books full of essays for each of those topics and more. Right? And you don't have to read all of the essays. You could just pick and choose which essay you want to read. I think that there is something very, very valuable in being able to get information from people who have been doing this for literal decades, condensing all of it into a neat little book that you can just reference whenever you want, inspire you for your next big thing, for your next campaign, for your next monster. It's good. So 30% off of that Kobold Guide bundle, and then 30% off of our monster pawns. Both I assume that's all of our pawns, which would be the Tales of the Valiant pawns, Tome of Beast 133. Do all of them? Do all of our monster books have pawns? I'm pretty sure they do. And Creature Codex. All of the pawns except for the Tales of the Valiant pawn. So that's Tome of Beast 1 through 3 and Creature Codex. If you need very convenient little pawns and you don't have the money for full miniatures for everything, like me, the pawns are great because it's new. Yeah, it is new. So, we can't, it is what it is. But very convenient, very useful, and also saves a ton of space that miniatures take up a lot of. From what I've heard. I don't have any. Tragic. Oh, wait. Yes, I do. I do have a mini. Where's my... they're not over here. But I have the Swobold mini. It's the one mini I own. And it's a good one. Because the Swobold's cool. Okay. So, that is that for the Black Friday sales. Keep a lookout on our socials, which you can find us everywhere on the internet that matters, at Kobold Press, for more information on that, and look out for Monday and all through next week for that deal. And maybe we'll also have some stuff post Black Friday for Cyber Monday. You're gonna have to stay tuned to figure that out. So we'll be looking forward to that. Now, going on from there, we are talking about the blog series Howling Tower. I really like this series. The Howling Tower series, we've talked about it before on Kobold Chats, back when there was an article talking about how to think about elves in a different way. Was that elves? No, it was dwarves. Thinking about how to think about dwarves in a new way. And now, this week, we're talking about how to think about the small folk. So, let's get into it. Howling Tower, a study of the small folk. This is the second article looking at the lineages in the Tales of the Valiant game, not as fantasy stereotypes, but as if they're alien species similar to what you find in science fiction. The point of this is straightforward. Your character's lineage should be a cornerstone of deep role-playing, not just a mechanism for gaining some bonuses you'd like to have. Elves, dwarves, small folk, and the crew aren't just humans with pointy ears or lush beards. Like everyone, you and me included, they are products of their culture, their upbringing, and their genes, which are very different from one lineage to another. One might even say, alien? They don't think, act, or view the world the same way humans do, and that's a fascinating role-playing challenge. So, the assumptions. This article looks at small folk with the typical recommended heritage of cottage or, to a lesser degree, salvager. Some of what's stated here won't apply to small folk with different heritages, and it might apply fully to other lineages with cottage or salvager heritage. In general, whenever we state small folk, we mean typical cottage small folk. Laying a baseline. The traits ascribed to small folk in this article aren't exhaustive or universal. You're free and encouraged to devise your own cultural details or for your character, using these as a guide. But make it different, thought-provoking, and most of all, a solid hook for a unique role-playing experience. If you want to play a character like a human, play a human. So, this is actually going to be very helpful for me because in my home game of Tales of the Valiant, which I started last week, by the way, which has been great, so much fun. There's a character who's playing a small folk, and they have a lot of familial entanglements. So this is actually going to be very helpful for me because one of their major character conflicts overall is about how their family expects, how they have been conditioned to view what life is supposed to be like from a very cottage, small folk kind of culture, and the ways that that's coming into conflict and how they actually engage with it. So this will be very helpful for me personally. The two standard heritages for small folk are cottage and salvager. These are almost diametrically opposed origins. One is an agrarian, village-based society. The other is a wandering, nomadic society. The cottage heritage represents a traditional small folk from fiction. A salvager-type background is largely a product of role-playing games themselves. A couple of these types of societies do exist in the world, but they're not substantially historical. Because they're so different, we can't efficiently look at both in a single article. Cottage is the more traditional approach, so we'll focus on it. What sets cottage small folk apart? What sets cottage small folk apart? What cultural and genetic forces shape them into the creatures they are? Note that these features are cross-cultural observations from throughout sociological history and not just fictionalizing or storytelling. Agrarian communities are socially stratified, usually into a small ruling class, a medium-sized business class, and a large laboring class. Stratification is often strict and rigid, especially if the ruling class owns most of the land. Social mobility is limited or non-existent. Life moves to the rhythm of the seasons: planting, growth, and harvesting, hard work and festive celebration, warm sunshine and icy wind. Everything is bound to nature's cycle. Cottage communities are tight-knit. Families help each other, work together, grieve together, and celebrate together. Farming and herding are full-time jobs that leave little time for training with weapons. Armed enemies are a terrifying threat to a cottage community. The threat is even worse for small folk because most of their enemies are bigger and stronger than they are. All of this makes sense, and especially like you are. I really like this this note here about cottage communities being like tight knit, like working together, grieving together, celebrating together. I've been recently, or every now and then, I visit. Me and my partner visit their parents, who live small town in Texas, and it's very much like very rural farming community, or not even a farming community, very rural cottage community. There are people who farm, there are people who do other stuff, but because of it being very small, tight knit, the vast majority of like community support and help doesn't come from an overall like governmental body as much as it does from each other, right? When storms go through, their powers go out, things of that nature. It's mostly people helping other people, and like they very much like, oh, I know the person who has like, oh, a lot of excess, like, oh, this is the person that also has like chickens in their like in their house backyard or whatever. So hey, every now and then when they have extra eggs, they give us eggs, you know. Oh, I've got this, so I give them that. Like there's a very kind of communal relationship that creates almost like an extended family or extended intimate relationships that might be familial or might like feel familial, but are like, there is obviously still the border between someone who is my family and not, so on and so forth. But they're like, this is I think these communities being very tight knit and being very entangled in that way is both a good thing to think about from a character's perspective when you think about how they interact with other communities and like how they view like community support, how they view one's role in taking on the burdens of other people's suffering that they care about, is very important. But it also lets you know how they might feel about other ways that communities are raised, like less tight-knit communities and more like there's a lot to work with there that I think is really cool. What is this? Half a thought. Lizard folk find cottage small folk a delicious low-fat breakfast with a little pineapple for sweetness. Delicious. All right, the good life. The cottage heritage description in the TOV Player's Guide implies a sort of rural Eden. But people don't walk away from happy, comfortable lives to march through gloomy swamps, eat spoiled rations, sleep in the rain and mud, and seek glory or death as adventurers. If it makes you or others around your table uncomfortable, you're free to pretend real-world problems such as gross wealth inequality, social immobility, and the ever-present threat of a failed crop leading to famine doesn't exist in your campaign. Social frictions like these are, however, an excellent foundation on which to build characters and stories. We'd all feel very differently about Luke Skywalker if Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru were wealthy entrepreneurs instead of moisture farmers barely scraping by. In these stratified communities, most people are fully occupied by farming and herding, only a privileged few trained to fight and provide defense. Everyone may receive a bit of militia training and know the rudiments of standing in ranks with a spear and shield, but by and large, farmers and herders are incapable of putting up more than token resistance against determined bandits, raiders, and invaders. They rely on a nearby lord, knight, or sheriff with a castle or fortified manor, and a small body of professional warriors for their defense. The size of the fight in the dog. Small folk fight as well as anyone when they're equipped and trained for it. Otherwise, squaring off against a charging horseman or troll or hobgoblin is daunting for even a 6-foot-tall large folk. Imagine what it looks like when your enemy is twice your height, 4 times your mass, and has a weapon 2 feet longer than yours. Cottage small folk know that nightmare all too well. A desire to escape that feeling of fear and helplessness and really fight back may be what drove your character to the adventuring life in the first place. Training as a warrior, mage, or other combat specialist would not be available to farmers or crafters in their caste-bound society. The only way to get it is to strike out from home and go on the road to adventure. Family matters. The close-knit nature of cottage life is inescapable. Everyone in the community probably is your cousin, uncle, aunt, niece, nephew, or in-law to one degree or another. Mutual help and support is the only way one survives. Some people find that closeness suffocating, and that alone might be enough to push them out. But most small folk who leave a cottage community miss that family closeness and replace it with new family of their adventuring partners. They grew up working hard, helping each other, sharing what they have, and counting on others for what they can't provide themselves. In other words, they're almost ideal companions for an adventuring party. For the same reasons, they're likely to resent anyone who doesn't pull their weight. If you don't work, you don't eat. And they despise privileged authority figures who abuse their powers or who don't uphold their responsibility. All of these making sense, and exactly what I was talking about as far as the tightness of community and how that might change the way you interact with people. See, Steve Winter, you and I, same page. So taking all of this into account, role playing you're a small folk. With that in mind, play your cottage small folk according to these tenets. Your companions are your family, and family is everything. Life is a gift. Work hard, play joyfully, laugh loudly, grieve openly, and love forever. The cycles of life are inexorable. Inexorable? Exonerable? No, I think it was. The cycles of life are inexorable as the seasons. What goes around comes around. And with great privilege comes great responsibility. Someone who enjoys the privileges but shirks the responsibility is the lowest of the low. Small folk who live by these rules should be welcome members in any adventuring group, while also presenting a bit of a threat to the powers that be, as any common folk who rise above the station of their birth tend to be. An article by Steve Winter. Love it. I love this series. It's so good. We talked about Steve Winter, also the same person who did, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Steve Winter, who's done the rest of the Howling Tower series, which is, has gone back all the way. Oh my god, how far does this go back? How many of these are there? Steve has been doing the Howling Tower series since 2012. That's wild. Well, everybody, you can go to the Kobold Press blog. Not only check out, hold on, wait, I forgot to put the link in here. Let's do that. Boom. Look at that. Here is the link for everyone. Putting it in the chats. You can go check out the Howling Tower series, specifically the studies on different lineages, but also apparently a bunch of other articles since 2012 that you could go check out. That's so cool. I like that. Okay. All right. That's that. So we've done that. So you know what it means next. We've got to talk the Midgard Lineages and Heritages PDF, everybody. Who doesn't love Midgard here in Kobold Press? All right. It's one of our biggest settings, right? It's the Kobold Press classic, born from the brain nest of Wolfgang Bauer and a bunch of other people. And hey, and here it is. For Tales of the Valiant, some new lineages, brand new heritages, and brand new backgrounds for Tales of the Valiant that you can bring some of that Midgard magic into your games. Now, I'm just going to read this a little bit, and then, hold on, wait, you can go get this over in the Kobold Press store. You can also get it over on DriveThruRPG, and, you know, wherever else you like getting your Kobold Press stuff. I'm sure eventually it'll show up on Shard VTT as well, maybe even Foundry, you know. You'll be able to get it places. This was the first thing of mine that got published outside of that blog. Whoa! Hey! Congrats! Awesome! That's so dope. Well, then we're going to be taking a look at it. The world of Midgard boasts a plethora of diverse peoples and cultures. Bring your Tales of the Valiant game to Kobold Press's original dark fantasy setting and start your journey with a character with both feet, or paws, or hooves, etc., grounded in the world. Join us in Midgard as a bearfolk, centaur, ravenfolk, and more. Flesh out your characters with an array of heritages and backgrounds in this 16-page PDF. Inside, you'll find 6 new lineages for any campaign, new heritages including Zobecker and Vidum Perch to give your character a little Midgard touch. New backgrounds that help fill out your PC's backstory. Because within the 10,000 worlds of the labyrinth, there is only one Midgard. Start your adventure with the Midgard Lineages and Heritages. So, Fireforged Trollkin has red fiery hair and orange skin. I think that's kind of sick, actually. That's kind of cool. I would love that. Okay, so, hey. Thank you for putting the DriveThruRPG link in there, Kim. Much appreciated. So, let's talk Midgard Lineages and Heritages. All right, everybody. This is it. The big one. I really kind of have to blow my nose. And it's kind of annoying because I don't have tissue anywhere. Oh, I do. Let's go. I'm going to go off mic to do this now because it'd be rude if I did it here. So just give me like a second. All right. And we are back. Look at that. Easy. My nose is clear. And I'm ready to talk Midgard Lineages and Heritages. All right. So, designer, Evan No One. There we go. No. Evan No One. Editors, Megan, Jeff Quick. Cover artist, Brian Syme. Wait, hold on. I'm going to have to. There we go. Brian Syme, Kiki Mokridsky, interior artist Michelle Giorgi, William O'Brien, Kiki Mokridsky, Eagle Thompson, Brian Syme, and graphic designers Mark Radel and Kennedy Williams. And then all of us in the Kobold Warrens. That's us. So, let's get into it. The introduction, hey, this is a book with new lineages, heritage, and backgrounds for the Tales of the Valiant role-playing game. These are pulled from people and places within the Midgard campaign setting, but they're not stuck there. Any campaign can use them. Common combinations. This is just letting you know, hey, here's some common combinations. So in this, we have our 6 lineages: the bearfolk, the centaur, the ratfolk, the ravenfolk, the shadow fae, and the trollkin. And then some recommended heritages from there: Hiveheim and Moonlit for the bearfolk, Rothenian and Wildlands for the centaur, Cosmopolitan and Zobecker for the ratfolk, Cosmopolitan and the Vidum Perch for ravenfolk, Shadow Court or Supplicant for the shadow fae, and Tribekeeper for the trollkin. So, let's take a look at the bearfolk. Look at this noble bearfolk. So proud, so esteemed, maybe a little even Shakespearean. Who is this? Alas, poor Yorick. Okay, so, bearfolk. Resolute and noble, the bearfolk are broad-shouldered, bipedal humanoids that strongly resemble upright bears. Though they lack bear-sharp claws, their hands are dexterous as any human craftsman. Despite their brutish appearance, bearfolk tend to be deeply spiritual and artistic. They are covered in black or brown shaggy fur that often have light frosting on the chest, shoulder, and upper back. The color of their fur sometimes gives clues as to a particular bearfolk's heritage and what tribe they hail from. As they get older, the fur around their muzzles begin to silver, giving them a distinguished look. Bearfolk society is built around tight-knit families. When a cub reaches 5 or 6 years of age, they are drawn by a powerful urge to wander and explore the surrounding region, especially the homes of non-bearfolk peoples. Bearfolk tribes are built around many individual families who each support any cubs that wander in. The bearfolk elders are highly respected for their experiences and perspective, many wearing scars as a badge of honor and a life well lived. These elders are still expected to carry their weight and offer proactive support to their community. Bearfolk often hail from the cold climates of Midgard's Northlands, standing against both the challenging environment and more fearsome neighbors with their size and might. Some may even be fond of nations of light carved out of the Shadow Realm. For all you Tales from the Shadow Fae out there. For all you fans of Tales of the Shadow, Tales from the Shadow, yeah. I think I said it right. Your bearfolk character has the following hereditary traits. Bearfolk reach adulthood in their late teens, living up to about 80 years. So somewhere around human age, a little bit less. Size. Your size is medium. Bearfolk are typically large and muscular, reaching a height of over 7 feet and weighing anywhere between 250 and 350 pounds. They are big boys with an eye. Speed. Your base walking speed, 30 feet. Apex Predator. When you make a charisma check, you can add your strength or constitution modifier to it. Choose which during character creation. You can use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. That's pretty good. Just using your bear stature and might, your fearsome bear nature, which is cool. To help intimidate, or maybe even persuade, or what are other charisma checks? Are those the two? Performance. Performance is the other one. Performance, persuasion, and deception I think are the three. There might be another one, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. Wild Heart. You and allied creatures within 5 feet of you have advantage on saves against being frightened while you are conscious and not incapacitated. Ooh, that's cool. I like that. And then Thick Coat. You are resistant to cold damage and immune to the effects of the extreme cold. That's nice. I like it. They're big, hairy bears with a wild heart. I like this disadvantage on saves against being frightened. That's fun. Because how could you be scared when there's a big bear next to you? I certainly couldn't be. Wait, is there only one Midgard in the labyrinth? I'm sorry, I'm just now reading this. Wait, is there only one Midgard in the labyrinth, or could there be alternate Midgards? I think that's kind of up to you. There's technically, within the labyrinth, Midgard is one of the core worlds. So it is one of the 10 core worlds that are helping hold the labyrinth together, basically. So in that way, there is only one Midgard. However, there is the faction, the Dreamers. They're the keepers of the dreaming god, followers of the dreaming god, the Dreamers, we'll call them that. They have the accidental ability of being able to dream new worlds into existence, or sometimes worlds are just dreamed into existence and then they go and they try to connect them to yada yada, so on and so forth. So if they were to dream an alternate version of Midgard with maybe a couple of things changed, I don't see why. It wouldn't be one of the core worlds. It wouldn't be core world Midgard, but it could be like a separate Midgard that's like a little different. And I think that's potentially an interesting like campaign concept there that I hadn't thought of before. So that's cool. Yeah, so there's a Midgard Prime, so to speak. You could potentially, if you wanted to, it's your game. Who am I to stop you? Hold on, wait. Regardless, you can make up whatever reason you want. If you wanted the labyrinth to have 10,000 worlds and all the core worlds are the 10 worlds, and then the other 10,000 worlds are just alternates of those core worlds, who am I to tell you can't do that? It's your game, dog. Do what you want. Love Ancient Vaults. I'm putting science fantasy stuff from Numenera into my version of Midgard. Ooh, that's cool. I love an ancient vault. I love a good vault that's like, oh wait, someone hasn't touched this for 1,000 years, and then you go into it and it's like, oh, there is strange ancient arcane technology that's way cooler than anything we have. Why did it get locked away? And what happened to the people who made it? Only you can say. Oh no, there's so much stuff in here that I missed. Hold on, shouldn't have taken that nickname. Been living with it my whole life. Got it in one. Courts of the Shadow Fae, thank you. And Tales from the Shadow, thank you, Kim. Down guard or up guard. Midgard versus based guard. I agree. Or you could do Midgard versus lane guard, but that's too toxic. Berserker Barbarians rule. Let's go. Okay. Players have found one that already was raided. The next one has ghouls trying and failing to get in. Ooh. That's fun. Okay, cool. So that's the bearfolk. Love them. Centaurs. The idea of a person playing a centaur is very fun to me, I think. Centaurs rumble across the vast Ruthenian plain of eastern Midgard, blending humanoid and equine features. Some scholars opine that centaurs are the original inspiration for cavalry. These four-legged folk voice no opposition in the matter, provided these scholars remain silent regarding the centaur's suitability as draft animals. In Midgard, most centaurs can be found roaming the Ruthenian plain in small nomadic tribes. Centaurs often approach their life with a might makes right principle, having no qualms with overpowering others and taking their land and chattel. Despite this belief, they have a sense of deep loyalty and honor, never stealing from their friends and family. While most centaurs spend the majority of their lives with their clan, young centaurs commonly embark on what is euphemistically called their wild years upon reaching maturity. During this time, the centaurs band together and work through their aggression and immaturity. If they survive this, centaurs tame their wilder impulses and return to their clan, while others hearken to the call of adventure. The nations of Midgard tremble when centaur clans gather into hordes and ride off in search of war. Clever rulers bribe the galloping throngs with trinkets and build defenses along the plain. Rulers too short-sighted to see the damage see their cities leveled under hoof. A centaur paladin gallantly riding atop his spectral steed. I don't know if they get to ride on top of another steed because they're large. They're considered large creatures. So age, they reach maturity at 15 years of age and live up to 100 years. Their size is large. Centaurs stand between 8 and 9 feet tall, weighing in excess of 1,000 pounds. Their speed has a base walking speed of 40. Buck and rear. You have advantage on ability checks and saving throws from escaping grapples. Once per short or long rest, when you escape a grapple from a creature that is medium or smaller, you can also cause that creature to fall prone. Love that. Someone trying to get on the back of you and hold you, and you just wheel up like a horse. Kind of sick. Humanoid torso. You can wield weapons and wear armor sized for medium creatures due to the proportion of your humanoid torso. Love that. Hybrid humanoid. Though your type is humanoid, you have traits in common with monstrosities. You have advantage on saves against effects that would cause you to become exhausted, and you have advantage on saves against being frightened. See, love that. How can you be frightened? I'm a big horse guy. You know? Natural weapons. Your hooves can be used as natural weapons, which you can use to make unarmed strike. When you hit with them, you deal 2d4 plus strength modifier bludgeoning damage. That's pretty good. And then quadruped. Due to your large size and indelicate hooves, climbs that require hands and feet are particularly challenging for you. When you make such a climb, you must spend 5 feet of movement for every 1 foot you ascend. 5 feet of movement for every 1 foot. So if I try to go up 10 feet, it would take 50 feet. Oh my god. Oh, oof, that sucks. No climbing for the centaur. All right. The ravenfolk. Small rodent-like humanoids with twitching snouts, whiskers, and long pink tails. Ravenfolk often work to avoid attention due to their appearance and likeness to rats. Ravenfolk tend to congregate on the fringes of human society, building their nests in slum tenements, abandoned warehouses, and sewers. While they try to stay out of the way of others, ravenfolk enjoy collecting trinkets and baubles, picking them up off the ground, scavenging from trash, or stealing from unwary owners. Sometimes they sell their treasures, but just as often they hoard them in their homes to the chagrin of their former owners. Not oof 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 oof. Family is important to ravenfolk, despite what some may think. They don't gather in packs out of necessity, but rather for a sense of community. The leader of a community of ravenfolk is often referred to as a rat king, and is usually most powerful amongst them. One of the most famous rat kings is the Mouse King of Zobek. Despite the ill-fitting moniker, the Mouse King commands a sprawling circle of thieves and robbers. Reapy cheap? Reapy cheap? What is that, Hawkeye? You're gonna have to explain to me. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's see. Ravenfolk, they reach adulthood at about 12 and live to be about 60. Their size is small, with ravenfolk being about 3 feet tall and weighing about 40 pounds. Their speed, they have a base walking speed of 30 feet and also a swim speed of 10 feet. You have advantage on perception checks that rely on smell because you got a good nose, and you can compress skeleton. You can move through the space of any creature that is at least one size larger than you, so large or medium, In addition, while you are not wearing armor and aren't carrying a shield or weapon that lacks the light property, you can squeeze through a tiny gap as long as your head can fit through it. Love that. How do ratfolk feel and associated with were rats? I think they're just different, you know? Were rats are people with the lycanthropy curse, or however lycanthropy is treated in your game. And these are people who are rats. You know, I'm sure the uneducated and the ignorant might confuse them to the chagrin of both parties. But hey, they just ain't the same. And then scurry. When you take the dash action, you can also receive the benefits of a dodge action until the start of your next turn. You can use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Love that. Question. Rat beastkin or ratfolk? These are ratfolk. So I think one of the biggest things that you can tell the difference between, what's the difference between a rat beastkin and a ratfolk? Or like when you're making a character, should you go ratfolk? Should you go rat beastkin? The beastkin are primarily, you are getting the different movement speeds and you're getting natural weapons. And I think there's also like a skill proficiency there. I think there's survival. I don't remember. So that's what you're getting with that. And so like the difference between like, being a centaur, being a bearfolk, or being a ratfolk, or being beastkin is that you're really going for, as a beastkin, you are closer tied to the animal in which you are being, that you are, in comparison to these ratfolks. These are like a full people that just happen to look like rats, they don't get a natural weapon. They get the compressed skeleton and the scurry, which is very rat-like, and they also get the good nose. In the same way that the bearfolk don't get big paws and claws to attack things. So it feels like on the spectrum of like animal to person, beastkin are like middle leaning animal, and then these like bearfolk, so on and so forth, are like middle leaning not animal, leaning person, I suppose. Yeah. Well, so rat beastkin are like 90% human, right? And whereas ratfolk are like 25% human. Well, no, I think it's the other way around in that. Just purely based off of like the traits of these. Where like the beastkin feel a bit more animalistic than ratfolk do. Like ratfolk, like they have like the small skeletons and like stuff, right? Or they can compress their skeletons, and like the bearfolk like look big, right? But like that's mostly it. They look big, they got a wild heart and a thick coat from bears, but they don't have like the tendency to act similarly to bears. And whereas the beast can also, if I'm remembering the lore in the player's guide a bit, like beastkin can either find their lineage or like believe their lineage to be closer tied to actually lycanthropes, if I'm remembering correctly, lycanthropes, or animals from like the like outer plains, like the wildlands and such. Yes, yeah, that's where. Yeah, I think that's a good way to think of it, Haffa. So it's probably better for more gotcha. Civilized beast folk. Yeah, beastkin can be demi-human with animal features or full anthropomorphic. Hey, that's a good thought as well. So yeah, I guess beastkin tie. I guess a good way to think of it is beastkin tie their lineage and their identities closer to the animals in which they resemble, while ratfolk are people who just happen to resemble rats. If that makes sense. Like, I don't think, hey, we are like rats is a part of their identity. Is part of their identity as much as something that other people might put on them because they look like rats. If that makes sense. Same way as the bearfolk are like, hey, we're just people. We just happen to look like bears. You know. But beastkin is like finding one's identity and tying one's identity to the animal in which you look like, because of however that lineage came about. At least that's how I'm viewing it in my mind. So that's that. Let's look at the ravenfolk. Living in the rookeries within every major city across Midgard are the ravenfolk, humanoid creatures with the feathers and features of wingless ravens. Often the subject of suspicion, ravenfolk bear the reputation of solitary wanderers and treacherous thieves, despite their attempts to mimic the cultural identity of wherever they live in an attempt to fit in with the locals. Legend has it that the origin of the ravenfolk ties back to Wotan, the Rune Father, who plucked feathers from his 2 pet ravens and let them drift down to Midgard, becoming his spies across the world. In truth, the ravenfolk hold the secret knowledge of the branches of Yggdrasil, the world tree, and consider themselves the bridge between everyday life and the realm of gods. Ravenfolk culture is built from the surrounding society their rookery is in, using building materials, mannerisms, languages, and ideals taken from those around them. Their homes and culture look like a rough mimicry of the world around them. This reflects their curiosity and their love for taking and keeping the secrets of others. All right, so let's see what they got. They reach adulthood at 10 years old and can live to be up to 110. Their size is medium, ranging from 4 to 6 feet tall. They have a base walking speed of 30 feet. They don't have a fly speed because they don't have wings. Mimicry. You can mimic any sound you've heard. When attempting to fool a creature into thinking the mimicked sound is real, make a charisma deception check opposed by the creature's wisdom insight. On a success, you fool the listener into believing that the sound you created is real. Secret Keeper. You have advantage on saves against spells and effects that reveal your thoughts or discern your motives. And Snatch. When after a creature within 5 feet of you makes a melee attack against you or another creature, you can use your reaction to make a dex, sleight of hand, check to pick the pocket of the attacking creature. You can use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Nice. I love this picture of this. I love this ravenfolk. I don't know who they are, but I love them. As you can see, I put them everywhere. All right, Shadowfae. Shadowfae stalk the Shadow Realm and encroach upon the mortal world where the barriers between the planes are thin. While they resemble elves physically, Shadowfae have horns that range from subtle nubs to large protrusions. They are physically beautiful, but their mentalities combine temperaments common to both elves and goblins, shifting between benign and cruel with little notice. Despite the fickle whims and darker proclivities, the Shadowfae are not inherently good or evil. Instead, much like their Fae cousins, they are content pursuing their own desires for seemingly alien reasons. While they never make their goals known, they are endlessly patient, preferring slow and subtle plans that overtake their enemies without anyone noticing. Shadowfae in the mortal world of Midgard often hail from places that mingle with the borders of the Shadow Realm, such as Castle Shadowcrad or the Margrave. Courts from the Shadow Realm sometimes send delegations to the material plane. The most notable of these is the Winter's Kiss Embassy in Zobek. Oof. All right. So, Shadowfae, they reach physical maturity around the age of 20. Their mental and emotional faculties reach full maturity around the age of 100. And Shadowfae can live to be up to 750 years old. Size. Their size is medium. Shadowfae range from under 5 feet to over 6 feet tall, weighing around 110 pounds. Their base walking speed is 30 feet. They have dark vision up to 60 feet, and they also have shadow step. When in darkness, dim light, or a shadow large enough to cover your body, as an action, you can cast the Misty Step spell without using a spell slot. Your spellcasting ability for this is Wiz, Intelligence, or Charisma. You choose which during your creation, and you can use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. I love a Shadow Misty Step. And then you also have Fey Whim. You have proficiency in persuasion. When you finish a long rest, you can exchange this proficiency for deception and vice versa. Ooh, that's interesting. I like that. All right, Trollkin. In ancient times, ogres, trolls, and fae would sometimes take humans as mates. These children are the children of these unlikely unions are known as Trollkin, lanky and brutish humanoids who bear the otherworldly and sometimes monstrous traits of their inhuman ancestors. Trollkin's tones range from green to brown, giving them a superficial similarity to orcs and hobgoblins. What sets them apart is how their inhuman ancestry manifests. Some bear their ancestry across the entire body, limbs elongated with talon-tipped fingers and toes. Others are more subtle, such as a uniquely shaped facial feature or a strange texture on the skin. As a result of their ancestry and appearance, Trollkin are often met with skepticism and sometimes fear. This reputation leads Trollkin to form close-knit communities, preferring isolation from larger civilization. In the wilds outside of urban life, Trollkin live in tribes, hunting and raiding to survive. These Trollkin often venerate their ancestors with tattoos. Some even brand their flesh to show their dedication, since only fire or acid can scar their bodies. In Midgard, Trollkin gather in Trollheim within crude halls, adopting the customs of the Northlands. These tribes establish themselves as ruthless marauders and mercenaries who conduct raids on the Northland's isolated farmsteads. Trollkin raiding parties mar the Northlands as they attempt to secure lands and resources to make a home for themselves and their kin in defiance of their neighbors. All right, let's look at these lineage traits. They reach adulthood by age of 15, living up to about 60 years. Their size is medium, and Trollkin have a wide range of physicality depending on their inhuman ancestors. Typically, Trollkin stand over 6 feet tall and are sturdier than humans, weighing about 200 pounds. Their base walking speed is 30 feet, and they have natural weapons, where they have large fangs, stout hooves, or sharp claws instead of fingernails and toenails, which serve as a natural weapon. Work with your GM to determine what type of natural weapon you possess and decide whether it does bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage. And you can use your natural weapons to make unarmed strikes. When you hit with it, you deal 1d6 plus strength or dex modifier, choose during creation, instead of bludgeoning damage, normal for an unarmed attack. Is this a solo leveling reference? And my Kobold CHATS? Sung Jin Woo seems like he would be a Shadow Fae, I suppose. I know very little about solo leveling. But yeah, so these are the lineage. Whoa. There's more. Okay. They also have Trollish Regeneration. The regenerative power in your blood allows you to quickly recover from wounds. As a bonus action, you can expend a number of hit dice equal to your proficiency bonus to regain hit points as if you had finished a short rest. You can use this trait once until you finish a long rest. If you take acid or fire damage, you lose access to this ability until you finish a short or long rest. Ooh, that's fun. I like that a lot. And then natural adaptation. You manifest different traits depending on your inhuman ancestor. Select one of the following. Ogre. Your body is powerfully built and imposing. You have advantage on ability checks and saves made to initiate and escape grapples. Troll. You are about as large as a medium size gets, but not quite large. You have advantage on saves against the stunned condition. Ooh, that's fun. And then Fae. Your features are beguiling and strange. When you make an ability check that uses charisma, you may roll a d6 and add it to the total. You can use this trait once until you finish a long rest. I think that's fun. I love the natural adaptation traits for lineages, so you can kind of branch out, like small folk being either gnomes or halflings, kobolds being either true scale, or I don't remember what the other smaller one is. And then Trollkin, ogre, troll, or fae. That's good stuff. That's the good stuff. Whew. All right, that's all we have time for here. But don't. Hey, this is good. This is good. This is good. Midgard fans, I hope you are eating very well with this. And for those of you who don't know anything about Midgard, or maybe you're dipping your toes a little bit into Midgard, this PDF is a great place to start so you can get just a little bit of the lore. Even if you don't want to dive all the way in and play a game in Midgard, you can get a little sense of it and bring some of that magic to your own table before you take the full dive in. And of course, I will always say, if you want to know more Midgard stuff, I mean, get the Midgard book. Get the Midgard book. It has everything that you could want. And also, every Monday we have a new blog that comes out on Midgard Monday that helps expand, talk a little bit about, and maybe sometimes give some character options for your games. So yeah, that's that. I hope you all enjoyed it. All right, get on over here. All right, everybody, this has been a wonderful, wonderful time here at Kobold Chats, but I must let you go. I have to give you the rest of your day. Go out, do other things, and I will try to as well. So we're going to be here. Actually, we're not going to be here next week. Next week is Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving. So we're not going to be here. Go spend time with your families. Get a nice meal for yourself, even if it's just by yourself. Be kind to your friends and think about all the things that you love and you care about and that you are very thankful for. So we won't see you next week, but we will see you the week after on December 6th. And in fact, I have a special guest coming December 6th. My good friend Brooke from over at Roll20 and Drive-Thru-RPG, and we're just going to be talking Kobold Press stuff over on Roll20. So be looking out for that. And we'll see you then. So don't forget to go out, eat enough food, drink enough water, get enough sleep, and take care of yourself. Because self-care is very important, especially in the times we're living in right now. That's right. That's right, Violetta. Okay. I thought she was going to do more than that, but she didn't. Oh. There it is, a little bit. Oh. There she is. She's so great. She loves yelling. She loves yelling. But who doesn't? All right. And don't forget to love everybody and everybody around you. Or don't forget to love yourself and everybody around you. We'll see you December. Bye.